All right, everyone, I'm finally here with our blast from the past for Handmaid's Tale Season 2. All right, I'm going to get started with our Season 2 first look trailer. I kind of like this because it does encapsulate a lot of what occurs in Season 2, and I do like the music. I hope I can get away with the music playing, but I can't guarantee anything. If it is a problem, I will have to re-record with the volume turned way down and my voice over the top of it like it is now. I am also doing this season's a little bit different. I had a lot of struggles getting everything together and getting it edited. My files have deleted off my video editor multiple times now, and I just can't deal with it. So what I am going to do is just record and then put them all together at the end. Anyway, let's move on.
All right, everyone, this is for Handmaid's Tale Season 2, Episode 1. We're off to a hanging. All the handmaids hanging. But I just noticed there were bullets on the floor of that vehicle June was in. How much of this did Nick actually know after telling June to trust him? What the hell? They're doing this in Fenway Park? That song, Woman's Work, the terror of all these women, was so terrible. This scene was one of the most gut-wrenching and memorable scenes I have ever watched. Flashback to Gilead before they took over. Their ways were already seeping in, with the husband needing to give permission for the female to get birth control. But June and Luke were entertaining going off to try for another baby. Back to real life. Uh-oh, Lydia got the news. Fred is preggo. But June's not giving Lydia the satisfaction. I'm not hungry. Of course, Lydia loves her crazy-ass punishments. Takes June to see a pregnant lady chained to the ceiling who used drain cleaner to try to end it, which of course is a danger to the baby. So poor Wyatt got chained in that room for her entire pregnancy. Of course, this convinces June to eat. Then the soap handmaids come in, but their punishment's not over. These people are so fucked up. Chaining of Robert's hand to a stove so it can burn? Insane. Another flashback. Hannah, with a temperature, is sent to the hospital from school. And the care worker asks June if Hannah was her biological child. June gets the third degree from the care worker, insinuates that June and Luke aren't fit parents. But you can see how this mess is already starting and how that medical worker was keeping tabs on the legitimacy of that child and who gave birth to her. Serena and her crazy mood swings. But once they're out of there, June gets the help Nick planned for her. This is the way. Follow the little square breadcrumbs down another long hallway and into another lonely vehicle. Much like the beginning of this episode, except this vehicle has carcasses hanging from the ceiling. Flashback. The Capitol has been attacked as June is getting home with sick Hannah. Martial law is instated after a gunman attacked with machine guns. Then, in the middle of that chaos, there's an explosion in the White House. June gets dropped off, and here's Nick, coming from the shadows. Time to burn the clothes, cut the hair, remove the ear tag, and go into hiding till someone comes for her. I've never seen somebody cut their hair so easily and so well. And removing that tag was so gruesome. June Osborne, from Brooklyn, Massachusetts. She's 34 years old, 5'3", like me. 120 pounds, not like me. 5 weeks pregnant and free. Though I think we know that free is never really free after Gilead. All right, everyone, this is episode 2 of season 2 called Unwoman. And by the way, the last episode was called June. June is riding in the back of the truck. Gilead is within you, like the Spirit of the Lord, or Commander's cock, or cancer. That's what she says when she talks about how she's probably not going to get away after all, because of Gilead having no bounds. She's dropped off at an old building, the Boston Globe. This will be home for a while. That was our first real look at the colonies and the penal colony of women they've sent there to work and die. We have a flashback to Emily teaching in university on microbiomes, and that image that she shows the young girl comes back to bite her. She's been relegated to lab work by the new Board of Regents. Apparently, this was after the White House explosion, so I suspect the new Board of Regents are led by Gilead. The professor that gave her the news at first I thought was homophobic or being homophobic, but in reality, he's taking extra precautions because of the way things have changed. He was gay as well. He said that him and his boyfriend or husband had had several fights after the bombing, and he said he called in a collaborator. Is it possible that this Paul actually turned him in? Because later on, we get to see that he's been hung. Now we're back to the devastation of life in the radioactive colonies. There's a wife who just arrived. Let's think about this. Some wives can't conceive. This wife gets in trouble. Her commander and the handmaid have been cheating, so she ends up cheating and gets a one-way trip to the colonies, where others who've been harmed by and for wives won't take kindly to her presence. The remains of the Boston Globe, a mug, a shoe, a copy of Friends, machinery, nooses, and the wall of execution. Someone's there. Oh shit. Thank goodness it's Nick. That whole place is lit up. Nick is trying to help, he says, but he hasn't done this before. They don't tell him anything, and it's not safe for her. Everyone's looking for her. Of course, June's not seeing reason. She's freaked out from the slaughterhouse that is the Boston Globe. And frankly, not seeing reason, this is her way. But they do have lots of hot, steamy sex. Sweat beating down her back, and Nick saying he can't keep going again, and her telling him to try. In the colonies again. Here's a present, wifey lady. How would you like a bloody, gross, infected, disgusting fingernail? She's falling into Emily's trap. Befriend her to use her bio experience to get rid of her. We get another flashback. Emily is at the airport. It seems like she might actually get through, but then this guy is collecting birth info on her, not letting her go. He is definitely part of Gilead. Bye-bye, Oliver and wife. Mommy won't be seeing you again for a long, long time. And in the colonies, Emily has poisoned the wifey and hung her for her sins of pinning women down while her husband raped them every month. June, starting to make herself home in the Boston Globe, makes a memorial, the remains from the Boston Globe. You see, June still has a faith, just not the faith of the fucked up Gilead. All right, everyone, rolling right along with season 2, episode 3, called Baggage. And this is another Moira episode, which is splendid because we don't really get a lot of them. June's memorial has gotten bigger. She's been there for 2 months. That means she's out of the first trimester of pregnancy. June is piecing together the remnants of what was happening when Gilead took over. Has a flashback of her mom taking her to a Take Back the Night vigil. And then Nick gives her news that she's going to be leaving soon. But we hear that hint of not wanting to leave without Hannah, which is an often repeated mantra we'll see throughout the series. Moira, Luke, and the other girl seem to be doing okay, but Luke is talking about what seems to be battle plans or aggressions, maybe towards Gilead, I'm not quite sure. And Moira is now helping refugees from Gilead, just like she was when she came in. One guy seems to be in shock and said after the military, they were all made into guardians. Then they started killing people during the gender purges. One of the guys was someone he dated, was executed. Moira tells him that there are trauma counselors now and directs him how to get there. Signs, everywhere there's signs in June's next drop-off point. Poor guy. He gives her a map at least, but he's gonna get caught up helping June. Shit goes south and he's going to pay for it. Him and his tiny family. The Econo home is an apartment. The clothes are all gray. They're striped in the books. Boy is playing with blocks with June. Rings a little bell, tells her it's a warning to let them know there's help to escape. His mom tells him to get dressed. Shows that she has misinformation about handmaids. And there's two things they said. They're leaving early for church, and they should be back by 2. But that doesn't happen. Flashback to June, and her mom expresses concerns at June's settling. Used to want to be a Supreme Court justice. Now you're just an editor. Country's going backwards and we need to fight. You're still young, and I don't want you marrying Luke. Another thing with the Econo situation. June peeked out the window. Plus, some guy came by to check on the family who said they were leaving early. So June had to go and hide, and found out in the process that this family is hiding that they are Muslim. It's almost 5, and they're a no-show. I really don't blame June for leaving at that point. Flashback to the Red Center. June's mom is in a slide, shown in the colonies. I can't tell if it's where the radiation is. She's loading bags. And there were colonies that were supposed to be agricultural rather than toxic waste. But we haven't heard anything since this episode. The Great Escape. Econo lady clothes. Got the map. Try to fit in. Look like the Econo ladies. Walk to the train station. Say expected Gilead greeting. But be too conspicuous on the train. Still, she makes it to the final stop, sneaks into the woods, and makes her way to the plane. Not before PTSD strikes. Still she makes it, without her Hannah banana, only for the plane to eventually get shot down. The handmaid and a last-minute driver, just no good. Back in Little America in Canada, Moira's hooking up at a club, but seems to be stuck in her old role from Jezebel's. Blessed be the Fruit Loops, everyone. Blessed be the Fruit Loops. Now, before I shut down for this episode, I have to say there were several things that stuck out to me after watching this. I don't know how many times. I've watched it many times. But there were so many things that stuck out, showing how unlikely it was that she was really going to make it this time. The fact that the plans for her next hiding spot didn't work out, that she went to some other person's house that was completely unplanned, who obviously had no intention of taking people in, that they had an unplanned stop at the church earlier than they usually do, the Econo family. The fact that some guy stopped in who seemed to possibly be somebody they know or someone that checks in on them, possibly a guardian, we don't know, but somebody checked in on them and noticed they weren't there. And then 2 o'clock rolls around, they're nowhere to be seen. Top that off, when they left, June was peeking her head out the window. And I think I could have sworn I saw somebody peeking their head out the window, looking at June when she was leaving. She was being very conspicuous on the train, like doing a lot of things that would make her stick out. I understand why. It's a confusing situation. You don't know what to do and you're unfamiliar with the environment and you're trying to escape still. Very like sticking her head out and getting herself noticed. But not only that, right as they're getting ready to leave, some freaking driver shows up who's not part of the plans at all. And the Guardians are all shooting at that helicopter. They could have easily shot her. I wonder if really they would have shot knowingly at someone that they think is a pregnant handmaid. Although they do that later on with one of the other pregnant handmaids, so who knows? Sometimes they don't give a crap. But yeah, there were a lot of things that were not lining up, that were not looking like that was gonna go as planned, and it didn't. And even the first time you watched the episode, you had to know that it wasn't gonna work out. We were only in episode 3 of the season. Really seemed very unlikely that June was gonna get out of there that quickly. Like, if she would have gotten out of there, that would have been a good season finale, not a good 3rd episode of the season. That would make no sense. Episode 4 is called Other Women. And now June's in that room with the chain, except hers is hooked to the ground instead of the ceiling. June's gotten a little sassy in her time away, insists to Aunt Lydia that she is June and that Aunt Lydia knows her name. So Aunt Lydia proceeds to tell her that June is pregnant and June will remain a prisoner, that she will stay in this room alone until she gives birth and then she will be executed. But that Offred was innocent, that Offred will be given another chance, that Offred will be free to leave this room and go to live with Fred and Serena if it works out. And she'll use this kind of splitting up of the June and Offred personality later on in the episode as well. Back at the Waterfords, they dress it up as if it was a kidnapping and pretend that all is well. That is their way. And June knows the way. Her room's been stripped down. Serena comes in and she tries to strangle June. So June repeats the refrain, "As long as my baby is safe, so is yours." All right, the baths are no longer in preparation for those ceremonies. I wonder how often they're actually allowed, since now the dynamic has shifted. Rita still has that package. Someone was supposed to contact her, but she says she can't. Serena could find them, and June doesn't know what it's been like. I really don't think extra pregnancy attention is to June's liking at all. All of the oohs and ahs of their baby shower were quite nauseating. Oh no, that guy shooting with them is the one who's going to wreak havoc after the new Red Center bombing. And Aunt Lydia lets Serena know, no more smokes. It's bad for the baby. There's a lot of fallout after everything. Mayday's gone silent. They won't work with the handmaids anymore. Of Glenn's tongue was removed after she stood up for Janine, not to mention the burnings. We have a flashback of Annie telling June to back off. Her and Luke have been separated for 3 months. Says that all her and Luke do is talk. Says that Luke thinks he loves June, but that she still loves Luke. June expresses some regrets to Luke, but Luke seems resolute in his love for June, and that Annie does this. And he says that he never loved her as much as he loves June. Back in reality, or Gilead reality, another outburst from Serena. Lydia takes June for a walk, taking her on a blame and shame field trip. That man that helped her get away, he's been hung on the wall. Lydia tells her that his wife will be made a handmaid and that her child was taken and he will never see his mother again. Then she uses separation of June and Offred again to release Offred from blame while condemning June, which I think is the beginning of June starting to split and disassociate June from Fred. Serena being a creeper, her and Fred really have no regard for her privacy, dignity, or autonomy. They are very, very entitled. I do feel like there is a good deal of foreshadowing in this episode, but it may just be because of hindsight after watching all of the series. Hey everyone, this is episode 5 called Seeds. June is burning the letters, the ones that she received from Mayday, with all those other Handmaid stories. She keeps echoing rules and what she's not supposed to do, parroting answers and responses. Nick, Aunt Lydia, and Serena can see that she is just not quite right. Aunt Lydia is there more than usual. These are accommodations for the now pregnant handmaid. She points to things in the home environment that a doctor cannot see to reason these visits. In both their passive-aggressive commentary, Serena and Aunt Lydia indicate the problems they're seeing in Offred and in each other, while actually saying otherwise. Fred is seeming particularly creepy right now. Back in the colonies, women are dying. And Janine is trying to see the best in all of this. She's trying to keep hope in God's grace and protection. Serena is not liking this newly subservient Offred. She also doesn't like that Nick is not staying in his lane and showing concern for the handmaid. Fred stays completely disconnected from Serena, his wife, until she mentions Nick's concern for Offred. Then all of a sudden he seems interested. Fred talks to Andrew, trying to send Nick away, and Andrew suggests that keeping Nick around might be a better idea. You know, don't want to lose their eye in the house. And June is bleeding. A lot. Now Rita is taking notice. Something is wrong. Seriously wrong. We have yet another disturbing Gilead ceremony. This one matching barely of age girls with guardians as a form of promotion with no choice by either party. Nick's newly assigned wife is like 13 or 14 years young and clueless. Nick's reading the passage about love, and this will come up again later when that marriage goes seriously wrong. Again, something is seriously wrong. June or Offred, she's seriously disconnected and badly bleeding. In the colonies, Emily is losing teeth, and the dying Fiona and Kit are having their own chosen wedding of love despite clashing religion and a decaying environment. Janine and Emily clash on how to get through such devastation. This place is hell, and covering it up with flowers doesn't change anything, says Emily. So what? We come here, we work, we die. Kit's going to die happy, so what's the problem? Says Janine. Gilead took your eye. They took my clit. Now we're cows being worked to death, and you're dressing up the slaughterhouse for them. That's the fucking problem, says Emily. We're hearing that term slaughterhouse again, after the one where June sees the Boston Globe as a slaughterhouse. And Janine, trying to see the best in the whole thing, says cows don't get married. For someone we see as not all there, Janine really does sometimes seem to be one of the most sane people in Gilead. Eden, Nick's new wife, came from a farm a few hours north of there, in a small town called Westminster. Everything she says is very rehearsed, taught, and procedural, but Serena explains that the act of trying to procreate doesn't have to be. Both enjoying making love can bring a couple closer together, she says. Nick must feel so used by Fred with this deliberately arranged marriage? It's late and it's raining, and as he's heading in, he sees something on the other side of the yard behind him. June is laying on the ground, drenched in rain and her own blood. One more scene from the colonies. Kit died, and Emily tells Fiona that it was a beautiful wedding. The rabbi provides a Jewish service for her, bringing a little more beauty to such a devastating world. June wakes up in the hospital. Baby's heart is thumping on the monitor. After Serena leaves the room to get the doctor, June tells her she's tough. She will not let her grow up here, and that they do not own her, do not own what she will become, and that she's going to get her out of here, both of them out of here. Now, we know she does eventually get her out, but it's going to take someone else intervening in order to get June to leave without Hannah.